Welcome to Allclear 2010. In this tutorial we're going to show you how to build a simple flowchart. At the same time we'll review some of the features and functions of the user interface. You'll see that the screen is split into two halves. On the left is a drawing area. This is where the diagram will appear as we construct it. On the right hand side is an editor. One of the great strengths of Allclear is its ability to create diagrams from simple text scripts. You create the text, Allclear draws the diagram for you. We're going to use this editor to create our simple flowchart. You can also use a drag and drop functionality from the diagrammer toolbox, which we can see on the left hand side of the screen. But we'll cover that in another tutorial. At the top of the screen is our ribbon menu system, which is very similar to that used in Microsoft Office 2007. So let's get started. Working in the editor, the first thing we need to do is define a title for our diagram. So I'm going to create a simple one called Painting the Room. I then move my cursor below the title, leaving a blank line, and now I can begin to create my diagram. So the first thing we need to do is clear the room. Now I put a period at the end of that line and press enter on my keyboard, and Allclear immediately creates me the first box. Placing a period at the end of the line with a new line instruction after that tells Allclear that that's the end of that first box. So the next thing is a question. Do the walls need preparation? Now this time I'm going to put a question mark at the end of the line and press enter, and Allclear immediately knows that this is a two-way decision. It assumes that this is yes and no, but I could easily change the text that's appearing on the lines by simply changing the text that's in the parenthesis at the beginning of the line in the editor. In this case, yes and no is okay, so we can just change the text of the actual boxes now. So if we need to do preparation, we rub down the walls. If we don't need to do preparation, we can continue. Now, if I press enter at the end of the yes branch of this structure, firstly Allclear updates the diagram with the text I've just typed, but it also places my cursor at the same indent level as the yes branch of the structure. And here I can type the text of another box. Wipe down the walls. Again, I'm going to use a period and an enter at the end of that line, and in this case, because my text follows immediately below the yes branch, Allclear assumes that it's a child of that box, and it creates an extension of the yes branch of the structure and draws all of the lines for me. Now I don't need that blank line there, so I'm just going to get rid of it, and I'm going to place my cursor now at the end of my text, because what I want to do is bring these lines together. So what's the next thing? Well, I think we're ready to go. So I type in ready with a period, press enter, and Allclear creates the box. Now in this case my text is indented at the same level as the original question. When I do that, Allclear assumes that I'm going to bring the structure or the flow of the structure back together into a single flow. So the next thing is choosing a color. This time I'm using a full colon at the end of the line, and I press enter, and this gives me a multi-choice structure. So a period at the end of the line gives me a single box, a question mark gives me a two-way decision, and a full colon at the end of the line is giving me a multi-choice. By default it's giving me three options, so let's just change the text of these. And I press enter, and Allclear updates the diagram for me. Now I could say that perhaps I want an additional color. Maybe red, white and blue is not sufficient and we need one more color. So if I want to create another choice in my multi-choice, I start the text with opening and closing of brackets or parentheses. and I can then enter an additional colour. Pressing enter at the end of the line immediately updates the diagram with this fourth option. Now if I'm happy with that, I'm going to remove the indent from the editor, placing my cursor back at the same level as the point at which the flow of the diagram was being split. In other words, at the same level as choose a colour. So now we can begin painting. Point at the end of the line, press enter, and again the structure, the split structure, comes back into a single flow. Now I could continue to construct this diagram, adding boxes, amending structures, whatever I needed to do. One of the nice things about it is that it's very easy to add additional options. So for example, we've got red, white, blue and cream in here. Well, maybe we want another option to appear between red and white. Strange colour to choose for walls perhaps, but let's choose purple. Now in this time I've entered the text. I'm just going to click on the diagram to force it to update, and I now have 5 options in my multi-choice. Now the style of boxes is all under your control as well. If I click on a box, one of the things you immediately see is that I get a very specific additional ribbon menu, and this is all that you require for your box formatting. Colours, shape, shadows and other effects, all of this is now under your control. So for example, I could very quickly change the colour of this gradient colour to red. I could very easily change the colour of the multi-choice boxes too. Perhaps we want to actually show them in the colour that is relevant to the text that's within the box, and again I can very quickly make those changes if I want to. Clicking away from the box returns me to my home menu. What you can see from this very quick demonstration is it's very easy to create flowcharts and process maps without having to draw the lines and drag and drop boxes. Those options exist in Allclear, but the fastest way to create your diagrams is by simply typing the text of the boxes in a very simple structure. Period at the end of the line gives me a new box. Question mark gives me a two-way decision, and a full colon gives me a multi-choice. With those structures you can create most diagrams. More complex things we'll cover in other tutorials. I hope that's given you a good start for your use of Allclear. Obviously you can go away and experiment and take a look at some of the other tutorials that we've got in this series.